Manus flat on the canvas. We are ready to rock and roll. Second round of action. There is a cut on Manus.
Yeah. Martial arts chat.
My man B-Hop got dropped out the ring last night. I need a little judo baby. I need me a little judo baby, and let's do it, Ron. Let's hit me up.
You see what telling me this? You've got a face for radio.
I've got a face for radio.
Martial arts chat.
Hello, welcome to the Martial Arts Chat podcast. The Roundtable is back for 2019 and we've lots to get into tonight, including answering your fan questions, of course, and comments. Thanks to everybody who got in touch. Remember, you can keep hitting me up during the live stream. I'm on Twitter at Martial Arts Chat, or hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/Martial Arts Chat. Before I introduce tonight's panel, just a quick shout out to the sponsors. A1 Fight Gear. A1 Fight Gear use the latest cutting edge boxing gloves for professional amateur fighters, gym enthusiasts and kickboxers, so local and national gyms in the UK. Do yourselves a favour and go check out a1fightgear.com. And if you want to get in shape, new year, new me and all that, go to beastgear.co.uk, use the coupon code Martial Arts Chat and you can save 15% off your purchases, because they've got co-sliders, straps, barbell pads, all sorts of strength and conditioning programs at different levels, man. It's what you need. So whether you're professional, whether you're amateur, whether you just want to work off the Christmas pudding, whatever, man, just check that out. beastgear.co.uk, beast your goals there. Finally, we're also sponsored by the MMAtakeover.com. For the real MMA rankings, go to MMAtakeover.com, or visit them on Facebook or on Twitter. And so to our panel tonight, always welcome from Juice MMA and co-host of iFox with Juice, it's my man Victor Vargas. Victor, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready to talk some fights. It's been a while.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it for sure. Good to have you on. And new to the show, delighted to have him on from Extra Rounds Podcast, Mr. Mike Heck. Mike, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's Championship Sunday here in the NFL. The Patriots are going to kick off in about 3 hours, so I'm really excited about that. And the timing of the show couldn't be any better. So thanks for having me.
That's awesome, man. Finally, host of Chicken with Dave podcast, my man Dave Madden. Dave, how are you, sir?
Hey man, what's up? I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Superb, gents. First card of 2019 on ESPN, and quite a lot to get into before we get to fan questions. So 2 fights I want to look at, and we'll come to you one at a time. First up, I've been tweeting about this one all day, the jester in the way and all that. The old boy apparently couldn't cut it anymore, but Cowboy Cerrone put on a whipping on that boy and took Hernandez to school. Let's get the thoughts of the panel on this one. We'll start with Victor. Victor, give me your reaction to this fight, and obviously for Cerrone turning to lightweight as well. How did you rate his performance, mate?
I had tweeted after this fight that I actually didn't think Cerrone looked that good. This isn't me being a Cerrone hater or anything. I did pick Hernandez to win. I did pick Hernandez to win. I wasn't salty about it, but his punches looked a bit off. He didn't seem to have the same pop like he usually did. But what I did like about it is that it was a dogfight. You know, it was a fight that didn't suit him. Yeah. Hernandez came to him early and hit him hard, and he was having trouble the first minute or two. You could see it kind of got to him, but then he just showed the veteran savvy and showed the young kid what was up. I really enjoyed that, even though technically he wasn't where I thought he probably could be or should be. He showed a lot by just being just that wild dog and just getting in that type of fight and you know, ended up finishing him and everything. Yeah. And it's weird because I know everyone and their mother hates Alexander Hernandez, but I kind of like him. I think I just like him because he's an asshole, and it's clear. But he's always shown since the minute he walked in the octagon, he fake a glove touched Benio Dariush and front kicked him in the stomach. You know, it's like he showed from the beginning, like I'm not here to I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to fuck people up, and all he cares about is fighting. So I'm all right, if that's your mission and you're just gonna be like that with everybody, I'm cool with that. What I hate is, you know, the Colby Covington types who aren't really doing anything, and all of a sudden, halfway into the career, they're like, yeah, I'm just going to start doing this Donald Trump shit to piss people off. He's just very, you know, disingenuous. Yeah. I'm a fan of Hernandez. I'm kind of glad he lost because I know he'll learn from it, and good for Cowboy, man. I hope he does get the Conor fight or any other big fights coming up because he's definitely determined, and that says a lot. That performance last night says a lot of where he's at right now. For sure, man. I know what you're saying, though. You probably make a good point. It's like he's an upfront cunt. So that's quite refreshing in this day and age of, you know what I mean? Like, people are just, faker's going to fake. So you'll probably make a good point, mate. Mike Heck. I'm not gonna be nice to one guy and then mean to another. It seems like he's just going to be an asshole to everybody, you know?
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike, let's hear your thoughts on Cerrone and Hernandez. How did you rate this scrap, mate?
I was very surprised by that. I thought Hernandez was going to really shoot to the stars after last night. I thought he was going to go in there and finish Cowboy late in that fight, but Donald was able to use his range very effectively. Alex Hernandez landed some big shots early on in that fight, and then Cerrone just kind of took over. And once Cerrone found his range and started to read Hernandez, the whole complexity and everything about that fight just changed for Cowboy. And you could clearly see Hernandez starting to get a little frustrated. And one of the things about Alex Hernandez, and I know Victor talked about it, is the fake glove touch into the kick to the body. I've talked to Alex Hernandez about that. I talked to him probably a few days after that fight, and he said, "Listen, there was no fake glove touch." He asked me if I wanted to touch gloves. I shook my head, said I wasn't going to touch gloves. Right. He went out and tried to do it anyways, and he paid for it. He was asked. He said no. They tried to do it anyways, and he got kicked for his trouble. So I was very surprised by that performance. But Cowboy just showed, man. And I'm a father myself, and I understand what becoming a father can do to somebody as far as motivation goes. And Cowboy just looks really motivated. And hearing him in the post fight scrum with the media after that, like, it seems like he's really grown up a little bit. I thought when Hernandez was going after him in the press conference and Cerrone started getting fired up, I'm like, this is exactly what Alex Hernandez wanted. He's very intelligent, and he knows that if he gets Cowboy rattled, we've seen it in the past, Cowboy doesn't fight like himself, but there's just this new motivation in Donald Cowboy Cerrone that was super impressive, and it was really on display last night, and especially how he handled himself afterwards. He was basically like giving advice to all the younger fighters, saying, like, listen, just come out there, don't talk shit, just go in there and fight, and I'm still going to try to beat the shit out of you, whether you talk bad about me or not. So, great win for Cerrone, and as far as Hernandez goes, he'll grow from it. And he even said, like, I need to learn how to fight. I need to, I've learned how to go in there and finish people early. Now I need to learn how to do a 3-round fight, and I think he's going to come back strong from this loss.
Yeah, he's a young guy, and he's got a big career ahead of him for sure. Dave, like we said, lots of trash talk coming from Hernandez in this fight. But give us your thoughts, give us your reaction to all of this, sir.
Yeah, so leading into it, especially with the press conference where we heard a lot of the trash talk from Hernandez, I thought Cerrone did look rough in terms of the weight cut and all, drawn down. And he was at welterweight, so going back to lightweight, I thought in the moment, because I don't remember Hernandez being a real mouthy guy, and not that he has had a lot of camera time anyways. I know he's a good fighter. Just seeing people fired up for him to get in there, I thought, oh no, he kind of sniffed something, Cerrone not looking good, and then decides to take advantage, talk some trash, and I, really worked out not in his favor, and I disagree with Victor. I'm not a big breakdown guy and analyze your technique guy, but I mean, he seemed to put an ass whooping on Hernandez and bloody him up and beat him up. And man, it seemed pretty good to me. Got hit a couple times and didn't seem completely phased. Like the weight cut was a detriment to him. And I love the idea of Conor next for Cowboy. He deserves it in terms of if Conor's the red panty giveaway for fighters. Why does this Cerrone get one here, man? He gets all the bonuses, gets everything else. Let him have that too. And he's a good fighter. I love watching him, and he's entertaining. And bringing his kid in like Simba, I always find that entertaining as well. Now that he's doing that, I loved it, man. So I thought all around a good fight. And Hernandez, he's not going to go away super young, but maybe he'll opt a different route than going a Colby Covington or Conor McGregor. I'm going to talk trash, just out of nowhere. In my opinion, I don't know the guy. I don't really follow him closely. So if that makes sense, just it felt like it was kind of out of nowhere. He gets some limelight and then kind of goes after Cerrone, and Cerrone's like, man, I'm down the hall, dude. Just shut up. And I don't know. That might take, man. Good fight for Cerrone. I thought it was cool. And they got $100,000, man. Two
double bonus. That's right, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good for him, man. Yeah, I'm hoping he gets a big payday too, and we've got a couple of questions about that coming in as well with the corner stuff. So, we'll get into that in spades later on. But just the main event we'll look at here, guys, however short-lived it was. Cejudo finishes Old Snake in the grass. Brutal weight cuts and dodgy stoppages aside, it was still a finish, wasn't it? Let's get the reaction of the panel. We'll start with Dave this time. Dave, what did you make of this short-lived main event, sir?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought even TJ going down, TJ making the weight. I thought, wow. I was literally really excited for the weigh-ins just to see, would he make the weight? Would Cejudo make the weight? So I haven't been that interested in a weigh-ins in a long time. It feels like to see TJ make the weight, look terrible at the time, comes back. He looked okay, in terms of he didn't look all drawn out still, put back his face at least a little bit. In terms of fight night, I thought he was going to take it. Just the bigger guy in terms of height, just more diverse as a striker. But man, Henry did fantastic. Clipped him a couple times, dropped him, I think, a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, even in that short little time. It was stopped a little early, in my opinion, but a little early. Not enough for TJ to then go off and, basically take the win away from Henry or make it sound that way after just basically saying he didn't lose. If you didn't lose and you didn't win, what did you do? So
yeah,
I don't know. That was just the bummer part. But otherwise, I thought, yes, I can agree, a little early of a stoppage. But Henry impressed me, man. I know he's a champion. I know he's a gold medalist. I get it. But I just didn't think he would do that to TJ.
No, it was a shocker. I think a shocker for not just ourselves, but like a lot of people, man. It certainly wasn't. If there was going to be a Cejudo win, I don't think anyone would have picked the fashion in which it did happen, for sure, man. Mike, how about you? Your thoughts on the main event and still flyweight champion, mate?
My first thought was, holy crap, I can't believe that just happened. And my second thought was, man, the streaming numbers for ESPN Plus here in America better be through the roof. Otherwise, this is an absolutely horrible night for Dana White, because if you watch the press conference with Hernandez, anytime Alex Hernandez spoke, you saw that smile on Dana White's face getting a little bit bigger. He's like, oh, man, we could push this guy. I think he's going to beat Cerrone, and we're going to push this kid to the moon. Then the Greg Hardy debacle, which I'm sure we'll talk about later. And then with the flyweight division eminently on the line, Henry Cejudo knocks out one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in 32 seconds. I'm like, ooh, Dana White at the press conference is going to be all sorts of fired up. And then listening to Dana in the press conference talk about Kevin McDonald being like, the commission needs to stop bringing in local guys to referee fights. It was a terrible stoppage. Well, do your homework, son, because Kevin McDonald's been refereeing fights forever, all over the world, for Bellator, for the UFC, anywhere you could possibly think of. You think of a state here in the United States, Kevin McDonald's probably refereed a big fight there. So That's not really a good excuse here. TJ just got beat. You brought TJ in to take this division out. You could say it and spin it however you want. But Henry Cejudo went in there, and the flyweights live another day. Maybe the stoppage was a little bit early, but at the end of the day, and I thought Cejudo said it best at the post-fight press conference, he was going to get hit for 30 to 40 more seconds. There's no way TJ was going to recover and not get hit. It wasn't like Cejudo was going to be like, all right, son, get up and we'll do this again. No, Cejudo was probably 30 seconds away from putting his lights out. So no problem with the stoppage. Hats off to Henry Cejudo, and the flyweights, at least at this point, the way it looks like, is they're going to live a little bit longer.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the problem with when people say, is that questionable stoppage or not? Because if you just take that out of context and just look at that instance, it looks a wee bit questionable. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He's not going to stop and go, are you out or not? Yeah, it's life's going to keep rolling forward here, and this fight's going to continue if it's not getting stopped. So you probably make a good point that it was going that direction. If he wasn't finished, he sure as heck was probably going to be. I mean, you could hedge your bet saying he was probably on his way to finishing him, right? So. Yeah, I mean, I kind of got to concur with that. Let's get Victor's thoughts. Victor, your reaction to Cejudo finishing Dillashaw, shocker, right?
Not really. I was actually picking. I was actually picking Henry. It's kind of surprising, actually. I don't know how many people. I know people were picking Dillashaw up to the fight, but it seemed like, at least to me anyway, that up till the weigh-ins or fight day, a lot of more people started siding with Dillashaw. But I kind of had Cejudo from the jump. I said that it was two things that got him for me. Obviously, his wrestling. TJ had to be cognizant of it. I don't think he was going to be able to be as comfortable as he was, even though he was a bigger guy and he is a good wrestler. I knew that he was going to have to get taken down at some point. And the other thing I said was that Cejudo has power. He can crack, and he's not afraid to throw him. And I thought just those two things would make him uncomfortable enough to most likely lose the decision. I wasn't expecting the first round 30-second knockout, but I did like this fight for a few reasons. I mean, he got him on the temple, and then it was the right hand that caught him on the temple, but he did throw a kick before that. I kind of think the kick jarred him a little bit, and then that right hand to the temple just put him down. And then the ground and pound was obviously doing damage, and I think the referee stepped in. Yeah, maybe a second off or whatever, but it wasn't a bad stoppage to me. He just caught him at the time when Dillashaw got at least enough wits to try and turn the corner and try and get a takedown or something, but he wasn't aware of what was happening. He was hurt, and Dillashaw's complaining. I find it funny that people are saying like that he's this bad sport right now that he lost, and people forget when he lost to Cruz. I know some people think that he won the Cruz fight, but it was a close fight. It wasn't like he won every round as he probably thinks he did, and he was being a totally bad sport at that time too. And I guess maybe just people, because Cruz talked a lot of shit. They were saying that, well, of course he's mad, he didn't like him or whatever, but still, you lost. And he was the champion before you. You never beat him either, so you can't be like, oh, well, I beat him once and they robbed me this time. It's like, no, you a big part of that fight was that you need to beat him to really prove you are the champion, because this is the guy who never lost his title. He just ended up getting hurt. Yeah. So I wasn't surprised by Cejudo winning, just in the way it happened. And I will say, I know Henry's nickname's the Messenger, but I really think he should change it. Yeah, I think he's like the savior now. I think he should change his name. I consider him like the Cesar Chavez of MMA now. Dana White got the hitman, got TJ Dillashaw to come in and take out the division, and here comes little old Mexican Henry Cejudo who just stuck it to the man, dude. I love that shit. I love that shit. If I was him, I'd ride that shit all the way to the bank.
With his gold medal around his neck as well.
Exactly.
That's good, man. I like
wear a fucking sombrero and a poncho and the whole deal, man. Go for it.
That's it, superb, man. Well, let's get that's brilliant. Let's get the second half of the show, and my favourite, answering fan questions. Thanks everybody who's got in touch. A couple more coming in from Facebook, so I'll do my best in the last 20 minutes to get through them all. We'll start with Facebook. Let's see. First one comes from Andrew Van Kampen. So guys, open floor, just if you like them, give you your thoughts. Andrew's asking, stoppage was early in my opinion. TJ has been knocked down plenty before, got up and finished the fight. I don't like seeing the weight cut, but I would love to see a rematch at bantamweight. What say you?
I have a problem with that because, I mean, first of all, 32 seconds, it was pretty decisive, and you could say it was an early stoppage or not, but Cejudo rocked him. What the biggest shot of the fight was? When Dillashaw was about to get up, Cejudo landed that nasty uppercut, and then the fight was over. And then you saw the replay afterwards with Dillashaw trying to get up, and he was using the cage to kind of keep his weight on his feet, and he just didn't look good. He looked like the stoppage was the correct stoppage. So, and I understand that it's a business, and I understand that if you bring Cejudo up to 135, it brings a little more attention to Cejudo, gives Dillashaw kind of that, comeback story type of thing, but the bantamweight division has a lot of contenders right now. You got Marlon Moraes, you got Rafael Assunção, you get some of these other guys like Aljamain Sterling coming up the ladder. Jimmy Rivera is not done by any stretch of the imagination, and you get a lot of these other guys at 135 that are trying to make a name for themselves. So if you immediately bring Henry Cejudo up to 135, that completely stops the division. I think there's going to be anarchy, especially with some of the people I've talked to saying like, listen, we're rooting for TJ only because we want things to go back to normal. So if you bring Cejudo up to 135, none of those guys are going to get a title shot maybe until 2020 at this point, because Dillashaw's going to need some time to recover. Cejudo has already said he's going to be sitting down with Hunter Campbell and Dana White to iron out a new deal. So it could be a long time before the Moraeses and the Assunçãos of the world even get a shot at the belt. So I don't know if you throw in an interim title. I don't even want to see what a new interim belt would look like after seeing the travesty of a new title that the UFC just presented last week. So it's just chaos right now. Let's just try to find some sense of normalcy. Everyone's still going to want to see the Cejudo-Dillashaw fight down the road, but does it have to be right now? I don't think so.
Well, and I like that you're going the route of thinking MMA fan and making it a sport, and that's not where we're at, man. That's not what we're doing. What's going to happen is they're going to say, I'm wondering, you brought up how many people watched ESPN Plus. I'm fascinated to find out, even though it's still on Fight Pass and other places outside of the United States. It's everywhere else other than ESPN Plus. But what are they going to say? They're going to say everyone saw this. This was the very first lightweight super fight. Of course we have to let TJ Dillashaw redeem himself, and they're not going to care about the idea of whatever the bantamweights are going to do. They're not going to care. They're going to want that. They're going to want them to go chirp on Twitter and have their gripes. And that's the game, I think, now. It's all what's closest in memory and what do we remember the most and what sticks to the closest of what just happened. Otherwise, it's not a thing. I like where PFL's going, man. We need a season, and I like the idea of points, and you kind of work towards something. But yeah, I don't, that's going a different direction. But that's what I was just thinking while you were talking there, Mike.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Dana's too keen on Cejudo for whatever reason, as we kind of alluded to earlier. But also, I don't know if that will necessarily stop Cejudo from going up, even if Dana's not on board, because I believe Ali Abdelaziz is Cejudo's manager, and he seems to be getting all his fighters the fights that they want, and big championship fights as well. So I wouldn't put it past anybody that if that fight actually does happen, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to really complain. I did see Mike's point about holding up the division, and that's not good. I'd like to see it again because I think the weight cut does have something to do with it. But yeah, it's anyone's guess right now as if it's going to happen again or not.
Fair enough. Let's move on. We've got Anders Thompson who's asking, here we go. What's everyone's thoughts on Greg Hardy after that performance?
Yeah, he's it's just so silly to put him. They did it, I think, because ESPN and people, I'm assuming more so, watch football than I do. I don't really. I remember Mike was talking about football to start the show, and I don't watch football, but I just would imagine those who do, they hear about Greg Hardy playing or fighting, and well, I want to see that then. So then, where does he wind up? In the co-main event. I just thought that was silly. It's easy for me to say, man, I'm comfortable in my living room, watching on my laptop. I mean, it's so easy for me to say it looked completely blatant, but these guys move so fast. They're so aware. They're aware when they're cheating too. I mean, they know when they're taking when they're doing things like grabbing the fence and grabbing shorts, and they know what they're doing. And maybe a guy who's only has a couple fights on a bigger stage in terms of like right under the UFC and trying to get to the UFC and on that regional level, maybe there's something there, but I don't think so, man. I think he was just kind of going on a guess. He was going on a guess because he still doesn't think there's anything wrong with what he did.
He seems pretty oblivious, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's just playing the part. I think he fully knew what he did, and he did it intentionally because he was getting beat up. And not just getting beat up, frankly, he was being humiliated. This guy was trash talking him and calling him a bitch, and honestly giving him the whole Diaz spiel. He really was humiliating him at that point. I think Crowder had seen that he's gonna break or he just doesn't have it in him anymore, and then he ended up getting that and kneeing him in the face. But I mean, I just think it honestly, it kind of concerned me. I kind of laughed when it happened because I was like, well, of course, this guy doesn't have a good track record of being an honorable guy. But then it just kind of says something like, look, I know some people are going on like people deserve second chances, and we should kind of just see where he's at now and don't hold his past against him just yet and blah blah blah. But I know this is fighting. It's a sport. It's it's competition and stuff. But I think that says a lot about his impulse control. I mean, the thing with I don't know how many times he did it or if it was just the one woman that he hit or whatever. But obviously you're badly taught, but more than anything, what happens with that is impulse control. I mean, anyone can get mad, woman or not, to want to hit somebody, but the point is to not do it. Obviously, for him to do what he did in the past shows that he has no like impulse control at all, and now he's showing it in the octagon too. It's different because it's of a man and it's of his size, but it's like when things aren't going my way, he gets mad. Fuck you! I'm just gonna do what I want, you know.
Clue me up, because I don't know the backstory here. Is it like what he was done for assault or something? Is that why he's not in the NFL anymore?
Yeah, domestic violence. It was the story that I read. It was pretty bad. He beat the girl up pretty bad and put her like on a couch full of guns and like kind of threatened to either to intimidate her or even she said like just kill me now because I don't want to do it later. Like it was very morbid. Yeah, it was very morbid shit. And I don't know if that was the only case with her or if he has history with other women, but that's the only case that I know of for sure.
Jesus.
And I think one of the things that's kind of like sad about the whole situation is, yeah, you can, you know, people make mistakes and some mistakes are really bad, but a lot of those people who get those second chances and make the most of them actually will address and show remorse for the mistakes they made in the past. And that's one thing Greg Hardy has yet to do. And what I found interesting about the whole Hardy situation throughout Fight Week is that no matter what people said about that press conference, no matter how people reacted to Alex Hernandez, reacted to Henry Cejudo, Greg Hardy went from the most talked about thing on that card to probably the number 3 thing talked about that card. It went automatically to the main event. The main event was getting all the hype. Then the Hernandez-Cerrone fight was getting a lot more love. And Greg Hardy was, I wouldn't say an afterthought, but he wasn't as highly talked about as he was heading into that fight week. And then all of a sudden, that fight just ends in the worst possible way if you're Greg Hardy. And I have to say this, I have never heard a crowd react to a disqualification in such a positive way in my entire life. So,
yeah, that's a good point.
So, you know, Alan Crowder, despite not finishing or earning a win, you know, with the judges' scorecards, is a hero for getting the most vicious knee in the face and got an absolute standing ovation for winning via disqualification. I mean, what a crazy story, and you know, it's kind of fitting knowing the Greg Hardy story from here. And I thought it was even more interesting is that Dana White had his back. He said, you know, when you do these things on the regional shows, you know, and then he threw out Lipsky too, saying like, you know, when you come here, this is when you really get to show yourself. But one thing I learned about Greg Hardy is that guy can really, really fight. I'm like, what were you watching for those 9 minutes or so? I mean, it's just crazy. I'm actually blown away by how that fight ended and the reaction from Dana White afterwards. I'm actually kind of appalled by it.
Yeah, I think it's nothing new from Uncle Dana, innit? That's just what he does, and that's the world he's in. But yeah, I totally take your point. It's pretty shocking turn of events, and even shocking to the likes of me, who's ignorant to most of the backstory. Do you know what I mean? Like, shocking just how bad this guy's grappling was. It was up there with Ngannou, for Christ's sake. Anyway, let's move on because we've got Kelly Lewis. I don't really think this is a question, but she's saying Cerrone sends Hernandez back down the line. Get building our wall, bitch. Stand the fuck up and sing with Gladys Knight. Greg Hardy was robbed. Interesting.
What is she talking about?
Don't know where that question is, but
well, it made me laugh. So.
Thanks for getting in touch, Kelly.
Was there punctuation in that statement anywhere? Is that like one thought, or is it like multiple thoughts separated by punctuation somewhere? I'm thrown off here.
It's just, I think, just open your head and spew it all over me. Thanks. Anyway, let's move on. Laura Fiennes, Paige Van Zandt versus Joanne Calderwood next after last night. What say you guys? Are they in the same
I actually like that fight a lot, and actually that fight was supposed to take place.
Yeah, I mean, that happened in Scotland, I'm sure. Was it? No.
No, I think it was in Vegas, but it was supposed to happen at strawweight, and I believe that was when Rose Namajunas came in last minute notice, beat the fucking shit out of Paige.
That's right.
And at that time, I thought that was a well-matched fight because I think they were building up Paige slowly at that time. I think now we're kind of at the point like she's either going to do it or she's not. So I think JoJo's a good, still an appropriate step because she's obviously has very good striking. But as we saw last night, her grappling is getting really good. And Paige also got a submission win, although I don't think her BJJ is all there yet still, but it's gonna be interesting with her just how weird and scrappy Paige is. Is that enough to take out JoJo, who's just really technical now? She's always been technical with her striking, but she still has holes in her BJJ game, but as you saw, I mean, she kept going from one submission to the other. I mean, she was kind of doing the whole submission over position thing, and that's kind of why she, wasn't able to get most of them. But the fact that she kept going from one to the other shows that she's really put a lot of time into her groundwork. So I think it'll be really good. I'd favor JoJo, but I wouldn't count out Paige entirely in that.
Yeah, be a good scrap, man. Joanne Calderwood, obviously, I've known for years and big fan of. Yeah, you're right, man. She's always had skills, real top-notch skills in the Muay Thai world. But the Achilles heel has always been the grappling, particularly submission. But she's been poorly matched, Victor. Like so many times, JoJo's been matched with just a straight-up wrestler, just a straight-up shooting wrestler, and she's not really had an answer for it. So it's good to see her getting that high guard. Good to see her threatening submissions. All right, she never got the armbar, but at least there is a wee bit of evolution there in our grappling, and I like the sound of that fight, man. Good shout, Laura Fines and message in. Guys, I'll move on with Paul Breaks because he's asking how'd everyone like Trevor Whitman in their ears in between rounds.
Yeah, what was that? That was so weird. No one knows who Trevor Whitman is. I mean, we do, but does anybody else?
Well, you know what? I actually did not expect. I hadn't seen a lot of negative reaction to this, but I actually liked it, and maybe I am too close to the forest to see for the trees. But I've always been a fan of Trevor, and I thought he had some good insights. I think it's just different here because I think Joe Rogan's really good at explaining stuff for like noobs. If this is your first time seeing it, like you'll understand. I mean, that's how I got into it, and I understood Joe's commentary. DC is a little too loosey sometimes, so sometimes he's just kind of having fun and he kind of forgets some of the action, and then Annex just very by the book. So I think Whitman had some interesting things to say about, I liked what he did in that round, and maybe they should adjust there, and you could kind of get a little bit more deeper feel for some of the technical stuff, but I don't know if they're going to keep going forward. I don't know if this is a thing they should do all the time, but I was a fan of it, at least for this one. I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't a boat with way more people.
It was something different rather than shouting out the sponsors all the time. Do you know what I mean? You've always got sponsored by, an association with. At least, give me some insight on what you think a corner's doing. I'd rather hear that than constant commercials,
I think the other thing, too...
Sorry. They were going to him like they go to Mark Ratner for... The comments just said, dude got kicked in the nuts. We all saw it. And then they go to Mark Ratner to clarify. Yeah, guys, that was a groin shot. Big doings over here with he's got 5 minutes, like you just said. That's what they were doing with Trevor Whitman. I mean, DC and Anik got it. We got it. I mean, we're gonna kick it over to some guy you don't know, whose picture we're showing. You don't get him here with us. What do we do? So that's why it was just so bizarre.
I think, and Trevor Whitman had a pretty rough start last night, but I thought as the night progressed, he got better. He got a little more confident, and I think it's going to be a good thing in the long run. The more he does it, the more comfortable in his own skin he's going to be. Because obviously, I don't think Trevor Whitman's ever done a TV analyst gig before, let alone being on ESPN doing it with a lot of people watching. So I think the more time goes by, the more events that he's a part of, I think he'll get better and a little more polished. So I thought it was kind of a cool thing. Obviously, it started off pretty rough, but I thought he got better as the night went on. And then kind of going back to the last question, I am not a fan of the Paige Van Zandt versus JoJo Calderwood fight. I think Calderwood is a bit ahead of the game right now. Calderwood was actually being talked about fighting for the title next if she had a good performance. She had a pretty good performance. It was even addressed at the press conference, and then Dana White said Jessica I's going to get the next shot. So,
right?
Put her up against a Caitlin Chukagian or somebody like that, someone a little more higher ranked. Let Paige Van Zandt fight, someone like an Andrea Lee. I know Andrea Lee's booked to fight Ashley Evans Smith, but maybe the winner of that fight. Build Paige up slowly. Don't put Paige in. Paige is one of those people you want to push and market a little bit. Don't throw Paige to the killers of the division right now. Build her up slowly. Do what you should have done the first time. Yeah. And maybe you could turn it around in a division that's still trying to kind of find itself right now. Yeah,
you're probably quite right, mate. Let's move on with Matthew Penny, who's asking, what does everyone think of the new belt? Oh, God.
I already said what I had to say about it. I like change, but it's like the old WWF title turning into the spinner belt. Like, that was my first thought when I saw it. I'm like, where's John Cena where you need him? That was like the first thought I had. I saw lots of Power Ranger memes. I don't know if Dave Madden was a part of that, but it looks like a toy. It looks like a toy. It looks like a fantasy football championship.
It looks awful.
Did you hear, or I'm sure you did, it sounds like you watched the post-fight press conference, or maybe you knew beforehand, I hadn't heard it until then, was they usually get a belt every time they win or defend their title. Now they get a crystal inside.
What?
Or attached to it somehow.
Stone. Yeah, there's silver stones on the plates on the side. There's 16 of them. Every title defense, you're gonna get a red stone. They're gonna take out one of the silver ones and put a red stone and put the date. So like Cejudo would have like January 2019, New York, because that's the date and the location where he defended the belt or whatever. And they would go technically up to 16 times. So I guess they're just figuring out someone's eventually gonna get to 16 title defenses, and we'll figure out what to do then. You can only get a new belt if you go up a division, which I kind of like the whole stone thing that you can replace one. Like it'll look different. Hey, that guy has 4 stones on his belt, and that guy has 3, and that guy has 1. But it just seems kind of cheap. Like the UFC just doesn't want to invest in buying more. But as we saw with DJ, dude had 10 belts, and he never got them till like a month before he left the organization. So
that's hilarious, man, isn't it? It's so funny. Guys, we're getting short on time, so I've only got 5 minutes left. I want to get through as much as possible. Let's take one more from Facebook then. Kevin Jones says, who fights again first in 2019? Is it Conor or is it Khabib?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm going to say Conor, only because I think they actually are going to punish Khabib.
All right.
Conor might have I mean, it might not be suspensions. I mean, that I'm just taking it for granted that could be, but I think that if they do get suspended, Conor might have a 1 month, 2 month suspension, and they might give Khabib a 3, 4, 6 month suspension. I think they're really going to want to prove a point with him, especially since he's not as well known as Conor.
Yeah, I think it'll be Conor too. I mean, we already have a light at the end of the tunnel with the Cerrone fight. I think the punishment will be a little less harsh. Plus, you got Khabib. Ramadan's going to be coming up in the middle of the year, probably about the time where his suspension would let out. So we may not see Khabib either way until like September, October, anyways. So I could definitely see Conor getting in there first.
A long time, man. Okay, let's move on. Oh, no, sorry. Go for it, mate.
Well, was it Cerrone? Were you asking for Cerrone? What's next?
No. It was who fights again first in 2019. Would it be Conor or would it be Khabib?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can keep going.
Yeah, cool, man. Let's go with Twitter. Well, Twitter's actually following up. It's Else for Elf who says, who's asking about Cowboy and Conor. So she says, so Cowboy versus Conor next. McGregor has called it, but is it a realistic possibility? It would be a nice payday for Cerrone.
It's the fight to make. I think it's a great fight. I have no argument against it whatsoever. It's a fight that should have been made a while ago. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I have it then. Okay, let's see. Man, there's a couple. Okay, I'll keep this. Let's make this the last one. In fact, from Twitter at Eatmaazo, good name. I don't brilliant, isn't it? I don't think I've ever seen a promoter in a situation where he praised a fighter who got DQ'd so much. The other dude won, yet Dana talks like Greg Hardy did. Dana White truly is what everybody is now realizing: scum. There you go. Not a question, but.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just, I really don't get, Dana's hard on for Hardy. I mean, no pun intended or whatever, but I don't get it. I mean, I guess it could be, and like Dave, I don't really watch football, so maybe Hardy is very well known there, and maybe there's Cowboy fans or whoever that followed him back then that really want to see him. I don't know what it is, but maybe he's just misguided in this. He thinks that a lot of the football audience can come over because of him, and I want to give him that benefit of the doubt that he's just ignorant and he thinks that that's the way to go. But as far as like personally, I don't. It's kind of funny because like I didn't mention it earlier, but like when we were talking about, they were saying earlier that he was kind of going in the background during fight week because of Cowboy and Cejudo and stuff. But I saw that interview that Ariel did with him. They like, what would you say to people like me that think that you shouldn't be on this card because of your past, and given, that Rachel Ostovich is also there. And he actually had a very good answer. I actually kind of, I didn't like him, but I liked his answer. He was like, you're entitled to your opinion, and I just got to prove to people that I'm a new person and that I'm just trying to do this job and stuff. Like, it was very, very intelligent answer from him. And then he goes to do what he does. It's like, he just, any kind of sort of goodwill he had, he just washed away from what he did last night.
Like, what do you think would have happened if Greg Hardy knocked out Alan Crowder in like 15 seconds viciously? Like, do you think we'd be even talking about this right now? Or do you think that's MMA for you. I mean, like, all is forgiven with victory. I mean, it's like that in all of sports. Like, Tiger Woods is like one of the douchiest people in sports, but if the guy drives the ball 400 yards and wins the PGA championship, no one remembers that he banged a bunch of Denny's waitresses and cheated on his wife. He's a hero again. So that's just the way sports fans are.
That's true, man. You're right. It's very forgiving because of, what have you done for me lately kind of attitude. Yeah, what would he done if he knocked him out? Dana would have given him a fucking title shot probably. That's how he does it, man. That's how that boy rolls. Yeah, man. Anyway, we'll have to wrap up because we're just about out of time. But there you have it, guys. UFC Brooklyn, it's in the books. Thank you, everybody got in touch, man. Sorry I couldn't get through all your questions. We had so much tonight, but awesome stuff from those who got in touch and those fan questions. We're back tomorrow night. Sean Betts from Severe MMA is joining me, along with Matthew Penny from Purely MMA. We're going to be breaking down Bellator Newcastle, and we'll be speaking to the fighters as well. Fabian Edwards on the show, Leon Edwards' brother. It's a great chat with him. Terry Brazia's coming on, and Chris Bungard's fighting with just about everybody on the card as well, including Aaron Chalmers of Geordie Shore fame, so it's going to be a good one. But let me, at this time, extend my thanks to the panel tonight, starting with Mr. Dave Madden. Dave, thank you again for your time, sir. Let our listeners know where to check out all the good work you do online, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, man. Find me at Dave Madden. Just throw an extra M in there to spell MMA. And they can even tune in later tonight. Find me, and I'm going to be giving away my 2018 NorCal Mixed Martial Arts Awards for the year. So nice. We'll watch the northern half of the state burn up, where people are pissed that they didn't get voted when it's a voting thing, and they still think I pick everybody. So anyways, should be fun.
Superb, man. To Victor Vargas. Victor, always a pleasure, amigo. Let our people know where to check out iFox with Juice.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me on again, as always. iFox with Juice is the podcast with me and my co-host Rena Parsegan, and we're basically everywhere that you can find us: iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. We just got on our new platform, Podcast Republic, which is an Android app. You guys can check us out there, and I'm at Juice_MMA on Twitter and Instagram, and iFox with Juice. That's Twitter and Instagram as well, if you want to follow us there.
Superb, mate. And finally to Mike Hick. Again, Mike, thank you so much for coming on. Clue listeners up on Extra Round Podcast and how to follow your work, sir.
You can follow me on Twitter at MikeHeck_JR. And, recently, since I moved to the other part of the States, I pivoted to video now. So you can find me and follow me at Mike Heck MMA on YouTube. A lot of my videos are up there. I was out there covering CES yesterday afternoon in Lincoln, Rhode Island. There's interviews with Mario Batista and Alex Hernandez leading into the fights. I got interviews with Jalen Turner, Ricky Simone, and a bunch of others. Got a really good chat with Matt Bassett that's up on YouTube, who just got released from the UFC and is eyeing a shot at the PFL. So there's going to be a lot of different interviews, a lot of good stuff coming up there. So just follow me on either of those platforms and we'll be good to go. John, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, guys. And if you've liked this podcast, be sure to subscribe on iTunes. We're live every Sunday. Well, it's 8:30 p.m. UK time, talking MMA. Go to facebook.com/martialartschat. Give us a wee like there. Or follow me on Twitter. I'm at martialartschat. I'm John Boy McElroy, and I'll catch you next time on the Roundtable.